Hello everyone, this is AD with Kosmostrology, and I'm going to be doing your pick a card reading, guys. So this reading is for who was I in a past life. So we're just going to be doing some quick glimpses into who you could have possibly been. And when I say quick, it's not quick at all, guys. You know me, I try to be thorough, I try to be detailed. So specifically, we're going to be looking into your personality traits, just a general overview of who you were, your talents and interests, possibly leading that into your career. How did you live your life? And then finally, how did you die? Or just some type of indication of how you could have exited what we call life. Okay, so let's go ahead and dig straight into it. So this is pile 1. It's going to be the Knight of Wands. Pile 2 is the Knight of Swords, and the third is going to be the Knight of Cups. So take a moment to meditate, see what resonates with you guys. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Thank you so much for your continued support. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and drop me a comment. See if this kind of resonated with you. I hope that in doing this reading, people can see the importance of just knowing where you come from, so then you can see where you're headed. Of course, this week isn't, or whenever you find this video, this is timeless, but the week that I'm posting this, I'm doing a whole past life series. So this is just your general over who am I. We'll be doing karma, and then we'll be looking at specifically love relationships. So I just want to express, I cannot express the importance enough of just having a context and working through past lives. And of course, because, you know, since I've learned Vedic astrology, I seriously believe in past lives energy. So I just want to take this opportunity to explore that. I think I'm done running my mouth. I think that I've said all that I'm going to say. So hopefully people have watched the intro. And shout out to the people who just put the video on and just let it go. You're the MVPs. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go. Let's put this right here. And then so we can start. So let me tune out. Okay. Hello everyone, it is AD with Kosmostrology, and this is if you picked pile 1, the Knight of Wands, and this is your past life reading. Who was I in a past life? We're going to be looking into your personality traits, just a general overview of who you are, your talents, interests, and possibly career if that comes out, and then how did you live your life, and finally we're ending on how did you die? So a little bit morbid, but I was thinking maybe you could see, you know, if you have certain fears and stuff, so we'll just see how it plays out. I haven't done a reading like this, guys. So you'll just have to, we're going to figure this out together, but please let me know if this resonated. But let's go ahead and hop straight into it. So we are starting with, we are going to ask the cards, the time cards, like how many lifetimes back are we looking into? Because I believe that although we have some souls that are newer than others, you know, we've all lived hundreds of lives, or if not thousands, if not millions, who knows? So I just wanted to see if we can get some numbers going, just to kind of rein in what specific past life we're tuning into. So I asked Spirit to give us, Spirit, please give us the most significant past life. So I'll probably take a couple cards for this, and then you just have to see which one resonates with you. But this is just, you know, for any of the cleansing period. Okay, so we have 3. So this could be 3 lifetimes ago, one lifetime ago, or 2, and then we have Alpha and Omega. So this is really interesting. I don't know why I'm hearing this, but possibly some of you guys could have been a twin in a past life. That's really interesting. So maybe you feel like a part of you is missing, or you've always felt like a part of you missing. But I get with this Gemini energy too. Oh golly, this is so fascinating. I get with this Gemini energy too. You've been able to live as both a male and a female, the Alpha and the Omega, the Sun, the ego with the Sun, which is very male dominant, to Taurus, the feminine energy. So I imagine in this lifetime, you've experienced, you can be very fluid, or you might have a lot of Gemini placements, but I feel like you're pretty fluid in how you express your femininity and masculinity. So you could be a tomboy, or you could be a feminine boy, or, you know, whatever, however it resonates. But that's pretty interesting. But we are looking into some pretty recent lifetimes. So no more than 3 lifetimes is what I'm getting. So, wow, this will be interesting to see how this plays out in the cards. I'm curious. Okay, so let's dig in and look at some personality traits, guys. So I'm starting off with Vedic astrology. It, you know, it is different from Western, but for this particular reading, it honestly shouldn't matter because the energies are the same regardless. So I wouldn't get too fixated on it, but perhaps if you're like looking to cross-reference, if you have some of the same energies, then maybe it will matter, but it shouldn't be that. It should be pretty general. So we're just going to be looking at your overall personalities, maybe some gifts and talents that you had, because, you know, we can kind of see that with astrology cards too. So let's look to see pile 1, earth element, stability. Okay, so again, representing that Taurus energy, we have Capricorn and Virgo, but I really feel like you were definitely a homemaker, or you worked with the earth very intimately, be it as like a farmer or just somebody who was very spiritual, or you were born into a culture where they really were one with nature. The nature was a part of the culture, stability, very tribal. Jupiter, abundance. So I would definitely say wealth. And again, just that spirituality coming into the picture. Again, like I said, Pisces energy, Sagittarius energy. So I do feel like you come from a culture, or in this past life, you were birthed into a culture that really understood the way of the gods and took that into their daily routine. So very, very closely tied to Gaia, Earth. You know, I'm thinking the original people who were in this lands and native across different lands. So we'll see if we can kind of look to see where that was, but I would definitely get a very tribal and just very closely spiritual community. The 12th house Pisces energy. So yeah, I want to, and I also feel like I just got chills. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a fun reading. I knew it was going to be fun, but it's turned out to be even more interesting than I thought. So I'm also hearing that you could have grown up in a environment that was different. And it's funny because I was asking personality types, but I just feel like I'm getting energy about really the collective that you grew up with, the people around. So I do feel like you grew up in a space that could have been off, kind of uncharted or like an undiscovered territory or something. And when I say that, of course, we're taking in the context of colonization and all that crap. So that is another conversation for another day. Okay, I'm not here for that right now. Don't get me going. But I just feel like your tribe was very much, I'm hearing like the last of the Mohicans. So your tribe was like very much one of the last ones to hold out and kind of be touched by the outside world. So I am getting that. But as far as, again, your personality types, very spiritual. So we have the number 7 represented here. We have 38, which is 11, right? So 2. And then we have 36, 9. So those might be significant to you. Okay, we had some more 5th house creativity, funny, Leo energy coming in. So I definitely do get that with all this fire energy and even this, you were very creative. You were able to do a lot of different things. Let's keep tuning into it. Perhaps very dramatic, very big personality. So you might be shy this personality, this lifetime, but in a past lifetime, you were very much a big personality, somebody who entered the room. 4th house roots, Cancer energy. What did I say? A homemaker. So you were definitely in charge of the household, be it, again, if you were a patriarch or a matriarch. You've experienced both running a household as a feminine and running a household as a masculine. And if not, then you were a twin. So you genuinely were able to experience, your soul was able to experience 2 lifetimes at once, as a masculine and the feminine at one time. So your soul split is really what I'm getting, especially with that 12th house with the 2 fish. So you were kind of doing 2 things at once. That's wild. So like you were a mother in one household and then you were a father in the other at the same time. So that's really, and I do feel like you were really good. And I can't help but imagine, oh my gosh, you must have had a lot of kids. And even with the 5th house here, I just imagine you had a lot of children, again, masculine or feminine in your past life. Definitely a homemaker. Saturn, truth. I do feel like you learned, you lived very long, especially with this. I feel like you took it easy. Definitely, like I said, a patriarch, a matriarch. You were a firm foundation in this rooting, community. I just feel like community played such a huge part in your life, and it could just be because you were with a lot of kids, like you had a lot of siblings, and so you had a tight community, or you ended up having a lot of kids, so you kind of created your own super tight community. But I do imagine, what is it? Be fruitful and multiply is kind of like from the biblical terms. That's exactly what you were able to pull off in a past life. You were definitely fruitful and able to multiply. with that Saturn truth here. But I do imagine that you were very stern personality wise. I think that you were not one to play with. You were very stoic. I do imagine with the 4th house Cancer energy, you had a whole lot of emotions, 5th house. And some people would consider you over the top if they were very intimate to you, but to the outside world, you were very stoic. You were very controlled and measured is what I'm getting. The 1st house, the body. So strong Aries energy coming in there. Excuse me. And I imagine you had to use your body a lot for whatever it was. And like I said, it was just because it was an intimate relationship with Earth. So you were constantly using your body to harvest, to grow, to reap what you sow. And then Scorpio coming out, I transform. So really interesting. Is that the only... That's interesting. So this is the only actual placement that we have, the only actual zodiac sign from this deck. Of course, we have another deck that we're going to look into. But Scorpio, so huge transformation came in your life. So I do imagine with transform in the 1st house coming in, your life in the beginning, it was funny because I was talking to my sister, shout out to Jerry if you picked this file, and we were looking into childhood. I was like, should I ask about childhood? And I'm going to do that for a next reading, but it's coming through now. So I'm going to go ahead and say it, see if it lines up. But I feel like you had a lot of instability in the first part of your life, hence why by the time it all settled down, you were like, I'm here, I'm stable, I'm rooted, I'm not going anywhere. So I do imagine that, especially with the Saturn coming out, your life was extremely difficult. That sounds like a lot. But even though you had abundance and riches, there was something that drastically ended and transformed your life, and then you were very much rooted into what you ended up doing. Like I said, if you were one of the last, original tribes to be colonized at some point in time, then that's what you had. Like, think of the Aztec Empire, and I just watched a documentary on them earlier, so that's probably why it's so fresh in my mind. But it's just kind of like the Aztec Empire. They had riches and wealth out the wazoo. Then Cortez rolled up on them, had some woman that he, stole essentially, and was translating all the crap, and then they lost everything. And of course, there were people who died of smallpox and all of these diseases and just trying to fight for the war in the land. And we see who won. The Spanish ended up quote unquote winning at the end of that. But I just feel like there was this energy here where you came from a lot of abundance that was quickly taken, and then you restructured somewhere else. But you were also fruitful and abundant in that next life. But it was more so in the you had your own farm, you had your own garden, you had children, you had offspring. It's kind of what I'm hearing. And maybe that's perhaps why you were split into two, why you could have been a twin. Because it would have required two energies working at once to get through such a traumatic transformation is kind of what I'm getting. So really specific energy, guys. But I just imagine that you could have easily been caught up. And again, I'm using the Aztecs as an example here, but think of the world and history as we know it. This could have taken place in Australia. This could have taken place in Africa itself. This could have taken place, anywhere. I would say probably not Asia, because they didn't get that far in Asia, and not in the Middle East. So I would definitely say that you would be in a place that was raped and pillaged and ravaged by the European colonization movement. So that's where I would look. The Caribbeans, a huge example, Haiti, all those places. So remain open, but I'm not getting Asian and I'm not getting Middle Eastern. I do definitely feel like you were a tribal person, and then your tribe got screwed over like every other freaking tribe. So, and you could be Native American for real. You could be native to these lands, right? Oh my goodness, that's so cool, because it wasn't that many lifetimes ago. Woo! Look at this, guys. This is crazy. I told you, this is my first time doing a reading like this, so it's funny to see how it's unfolding. So again, your life, this wasn't millions of years ago. This was within the last 500 years that you lived before. That's probably why you're back again, or your soul is definitely connected. So you could easily just be Native American, and you just reincarnated again. Because they might have took you out through diseases. They might have made you walk the trail of tears or what have you, but they cannot kill a soul. You came back, and you're here. And you're reassessing and you're relearning. So that's really, really interesting. But yeah, I just imagine with this Earth and Saturn, you definitely had a lot of stories to tell, and maybe you did them in very creative ways. I'm sorry, I'm looking. I was like, I can tell this is going to be a very long reading. So buckle in, guys. Buckle in. Wow, so funny. The Sun card. So you might have really strong Leo energy. And so you might have Leo in like a dark house. So Leo in the 4th house, Leo in the 6th house, Leo in the 8th house, Leo in the 12th house. Because you were such a Leo in the past, in your past life. And I feel like, yeah, oh my gosh, you were definitely born into royalty, guys. That's what I'm hearing. You were definitely born into royalty, but I do feel like it transformed very quickly. But you always maintain that regal nature about you no matter what circumstances that you found yourself in. And I feel like you always were able to create for yourself. You were always able to entertain yourself because you were just super entertaining. And you didn't bow down. You know, when everything came up, you did not bow. You did not break. You did not buck. You did not fold. You kept it pushing. You were born into royalty, or you were born into, you know, very nice, luxurious settings for whatever was deemed luxurious for your culture. And no matter what they said, what they called you, what they labeled you, where they put you, you kept your head held high, and you were most definitely a leader, and people could have easily looked up to you. And I feel like you were even a leader in confinement. So let's just say that you like were entrapped, or you got, you know, it was slavery in that way. And even though you were on the field, you were still who everybody else looked up to. Like I said, with that 4th house, you just had a lot of power. Even if they felt like even if you felt stripped of that power, you still maintained it. Uranus, Aquarius energy, this opposing energy. And again, Uranus, Aquarius energy, that's why I said there's just a huge energy for community. There was a togetherness, and you were a leader in a collective, even if it was just navigating, you know, watching your entire civilization get, demolished by strange people who literally appeared out of nowhere, you know? And I feel like you were so spiritually grounded and so spiritually rooted and understood what was going on that you were able to hold yourself high. And I feel like you were a person who, even in your past life, you understood past lives, and you were like, we will come again. Like, they might, ooh, golly, I almost want to cry. Whoo, this is a lot. Whew. Okay, man. You were just like, listen, they might take everything from us here, but we are charged spiritually, and we will come back, and we will reign again. So you might have been born with like this real disdain for others, if that makes, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think that you have you came in with a fire, right? You picked the ace, so you picked the wand. So you came in on a war path to just reestablish this Leo energy and be like, no, you took from us, you raped from us, you stole from us, and I'm here to reestablish just exactly what you took. Ooh, power 1. So yeah, this fire, and you waited a long time for this, you know, like I feel like in your past life, like you stayed alive a long time to just make sure that your people were cool. But when you took your eyes, you were like, when I come back, I'm ready to take it on. I'm ready to reestablish that dominance that I had. I want what they took from me is really what I'm getting. Oh my gosh. Woo. Very feisty energy. And Aries just came out, which is, again, 1, Aries, so much fire energy. So in your past life, you were not the one to play with. You were slick. I feel like you knew, you had an idea of what to say, when to say it, how to kind of navigate the world. And so you were quiet when it was time to be quiet. But when it was time for you to really stand up for yourself, you were not easily swayed at all. Very strong personality, extremely strong personality. So if you are shy this lifetime, it's because you have to step back into this. But when I tell you that your soul is a champion for the people, your soul loves, like, you just have such a soft spot for people that you feel are being taken advantage of, or people that you feel like are being stolen from, or people that you feel like are in unfair situations, because you genuinely like resonate with that. It fires you up, you know? Let's see, any other traits? Cancer, there we go again. So there's like this loving energy. And like I said, I do feel like you were a mother and a father at once. So, yeah, you definitely, you believe in children. I just heard, I believe the children are the future. Like, you really do believe that in your soul. And if you're still young, then just wait until you're older. You're going to be like, it's the children. I'm fighting for the kids. I don't care about any other adult in here. I want to make sure that the kids are going to be okay. I need to make sure that I leave a legacy. I need to make sure that, you know, they're protected and that they know that they are godly. They are kings, regardless of the world that's happening around them. I will charge towards that. So there's definitely like a fire element. You are definitely just not afraid of anything or anyone. But again, with this Scorpio energy and even this Cancer, you were loud about it, but you weren't loud. So you might find that, yeah, water. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio again. So I definitely do see that Leo Scorpio mix going on for you. So that's absolutely gorgeous. You had, again, deep intuition, deep desires to move forward. You were not held down. You were certainly a rebel. You stood for what you believed in, and you fought very hard to make sure that the people that you brought into this world were taken care of until the day you died. So that is definitely the personality traits that I'm getting for you. Whew, that was a lot. And we are 20 minutes in. Woo! So let's move into your general overview. So we're going to look into the Sun and Moon deck. We got, but I feel like we have a, hopefully this will just confirm kind of what I was feeling from these personality traits. But I do feel like your home was taken from you. That's what I'm hearing. Your home was definitely taken from you. You were uprooted from your home. Definitely through colonizations. This lifetime that Spirit wanted you to tune into is very recent. And so you are coming to fulfill that karma. Can't wait to get into your karma life reading. Pile 1. I might go on a limb. Again, you can use your own free will, but I might go on a limb and be like, remember your number for the rest of the week. I have a feeling that they're going to correlate. So if you're pile 1 here, it'll be pile 1 for all 3. You might not feel that way. So again, just take it as it resonates. But I feel like that's kind of how it's going to happen. So let's see. So this is just a general overview of who were you? The Emperor. What'd I say? Royalty. Oh my gosh. I don't know who you were born into this life, but it could definitely, you could come into a family that does well. You know, royalty doesn't act the same way, but you know if you're more privileged than others. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you would be able to tell, even though that doesn't mean that your life was perfect or that you didn't have any issues or you didn't have any financial things, but you can definitely see if you've lived a, what is that? A semi-charmed life. If you lived a charmed life. With champagne problems. Power, the 4 of Pentacles. And that's interesting. And I like how he's sitting in the middle of these 4 castles. Like, I just feel like you were really in charge of empires. Like, you were a princess one day, a princess and a prince one day, and then you weren't the next. And you were just like, oh no, this is not what I believe. Like, you're not just going to talk to me crazy. The 2 of Wands. And look at all that fire. Man. Yeah, I do feel like they burned. It was burned. Like, you saw the burning. And that's probably why fire is so... You have a very deep relationship with fire. I get even the fire element. Like, you just saw them burn everything. Like, that is crazy to the ground. The Magician, Aries, again. Right when I pointed to it, and again, that fire. You took that fire and you let it, you let it turn you. To manifest a different destiny for yourself. Freak there, manifest destiny. You're the definition of manifest destiny. You manifested yourself back to life again. So I think that you can step back into this power position and restake your claim, the Fool card, to reset the balance, start it back at 0. So I just feel like there's a deep passion. And again, if you are, in fact, I know I'm speaking as if you're not, if you are a white person or of European descent, then I do feel like you know, we talk about transracial and all the other stuff, and that's a different conversation for another day. But I would say that you probably empathize with the plight a lot more than other people. You probably don't understand. So you might have just come to take reign on a different side. So if you do feel that, you know, without insulting the culture and insulting other people, I do think that you can genuinely express like, hey, colonization is real. It affected a lot of people. I'm sure you have like mixed heritage if you are of European descent. So I'm sorry if that sounded like I was ragging, but I do feel like most people in this category are going to be of some type of color, and have been a victim, certainly a victim, to this supremacy. Or maybe, you know, maybe you were the victor. You know what I'm saying? So let me not even pass judgment. I'm not trying to pass judgment there, but, you know, take it how it resonates, because either you were the one who watched it get burned or you were the one who benefited from the burning. This is not a racial reading. I'm just going into it. You know, I'm not here to answer that question, but I'm being called to say that. But I feel like one thing that I do feel like for you, pile number one, that was super interesting is you were able to pick up on the language. You really learned the other languages very quickly. So that's why you were able to be so malleable and still maintain power and position, because you were very smart. And like I said, with the Princess of Swords and the Page of Swords, I said earlier, you were very cunning and very witty. People didn't understand that you were gathering information. I do get kind of like this spying energy. So you were able to, again, navigate between multiple worlds in this really fluid way. And that's how you live so long, you know, because you knew what to do. You really knew how to navigate and work a room. I do feel like with the Magician here and the drums, again, just this tribal energy, I do feel like you could have lived on a, ooh, excuse me. You could have been from one of the coastal tribes. So again, on any of the continents that were affected, but you would have definitely been somebody who lived on the coast, who lived by water. Hence why the fire was so jarring to you, because that wasn't something, that was an element that you didn't necessarily work with. Definitely water vibes. But again, with the drum and the ceremonies and all that other stuff. So I do feel that very just, oh my goodness, the sun at the bottom of the deck. That's beautiful. So it was very sunny, nice weather. Like there were no issues. You really didn't have a lot of issues until you had issues, and you recovered because you were a good student. You were a good learner. Again, the Fool just represents travel. So you were very nomadic energy here. You would go set up shop and then you know, okay, it's time to leave. So you were constantly having to reinvent yourself is also what I'm hearing. So even before you were probably part of like a pretty nomadic tribe, but, like most tribes of that time, you know, that's not really a guess. But I do feel like you were definitely a dreamer, but with this cloud energy here, you definitely had a really great imagination. And I think that that's how you made it through any of the difficulties, because you just imagined a better life for yourself. You just imagined that kind of what was going on around you wasn't real, but you still managed to be a leader in that, which is really admirable. So super fascinating, super fascinating start for kind of your general overview. But I definitely feel like magic was super important to you, and just tribal magic and all that good stuff. I just feel like your experiences were very close to nature and who you were in nature. So you might need to reconnect with that. We'll look into past karmas and all that stuff in another video. But yeah. So now we're going to go into, oops, wrong deck. We're going to look into your talents, interests, and career. Like, what did you do for work? What was your talents? What were your interests? And what was your career? Oops, one more. Sorry, I forgot. I already pre-shuffled these, but sometimes just out of habit. And I forgot. So the table was shaking, so my bad. But let's look into it. So your talents and interests in your career, in your past life. Again, I'm sure that I feel like it was homemaker for somewhat. Yeah, is this the moon? Cancer energy. That's so funny. You definitely were a homemaker. You stayed at home. Or you just very much sat in that divine feminine energy. I do feel, again, just because this was such an original and close to how we were, in my opinion, and from my scope, it was a very early phase in just our human development. I don't want to use the word primitive, because I hate that word, because it has such a negative connotation, but the roles were definitely more traditional. It was more black and white. Like, you didn't have women wearing pants. They weren't going to work. If you were a woman, than you were at home. You know, it was just more of that traditional stuff, cooking, cleaning, sewing. So you might have been very, I feel like you dream for bigger though, which is funny. I do feel like you dream for bigger, but definitely home stuff, even this cup energy. So I got the Six of Wands. This is so crazy, but I'm hearing very specifically that you were known as a dreamer. Now, what does that mean? I feel like you were kind of, your career or just who you were kind of like a prophet. That's a lot. But I just feel like you were, you would have visions and insights, and people really look to you for guidance and counsel with the Seven of Cups there. So I just feel like you were, again, super in tune, very, very spiritual, and you were very, very smart. And so you were able to kind of know what was coming before it came. You were able to prepare. You were very cunning, like just a very like survivor, just really, really great survivor. But you had, again, a deep intuition. So that probably still travels with you now. But I do see you like looking, I can see that you used water. Like I see a vision of working with pants and looking at water move, and you could tell what was happening by water movement, and you would kind of be able to be like a prophet. So I do feel like you worked in tarot, spiritual arts or something from your home. And it probably wasn't a like, I think that it was a gift and it was celebrated and all that other stuff, but I don't think that it was so it was relatively normal, if that makes sense. Like you were great at what you did, but just within that community, some people were healers, some people were water reader people, some people were, you know, whatever. Like it was just, this was your particular talent, and it was all celebrated. The Knight of Pentacles. So what did you do for work? Or your talent and interest? The Eight of Swords. It's very interesting. I'm hearing very specifically because, man, this is interesting. The Sun card, that's really funny. I was hearing like, because you were so abundant, I'm also hearing that you don't really, and you didn't in your past life have a great relationship with money, or you just had a different understanding of money. How can I better like define that? Money didn't exist in your world, if that made sense. You were born in the richest and the highest level, you know, and the son and daughter of an Indian chief or whatever the crap, you know, whatever this is. And you were always abundant. It always worked out for you. So then once you had to start navigating the world differently, maybe you feel like in this life you struggle with understanding money just because like it's just foreign to you. Like, what is this? Like we were barter system. Like it was, you give me a necklace. It was very much, you know, the trust system. There wasn't a such thing as money. So I do feel like there might be, you have a very disillusioned view of money. Like you might be very frivolous or careless with money, but it always comes back with the Sun card. Like it's not the end of days. It does always work out in the end. But wow, again, we have the Moon and the Sun card just representing that you were probably twins. That's nuts. Here we have twins. Here we have twins kind of represented there. So I really do feel like you were both a boy and a girl. That's really interesting. But in this, again, just the mother and the father here. So your dreams really do come true. They've always come true. You probably follow luck, but I would say in this lifetime, you might have a weird relationship with money where you're kind of careless, but it's just because you're not, you know, like, what is money? You know, you're like, what is this? I can't eat paper. I can't grow it. It doesn't really feed me. But a lot of attention, again, the Six of Wands. Wait, is this the Four of Wands? Excuse me, the Four of Wands to the Sun card. I thought that was the Six of Wands, but it's the Four of Wands, guys. But the Four of Wands to the Sun card. So again, your home was set up by a really sunny spot, and you were in charge of your home. You were definitely a leader in your home, for sure. So Spirit really is exercising that. So I don't feel like you necessarily worked. If you were the masculine energy in this energy, if you were the masculine in this past life, you still probably worked from home. Excuse me, you still probably had spiritual gifts and did that. I don't see you doing, let me see if you were the masculine. I'm picking up on the feminine. But what did the boy version of you do? The Magician. Yeah, I was like, you did magic and stuff too. Both of you were very magical together. The Knave of Pentacles. maybe a farmer specifically, like you were able to really work with the land. But it was crazy because the masculine version of you was very much a green thumb. Very much a green thumb. So where the woman worked with water, the man worked with earth. And so you could just really know how to, there was no, shiz. I wish I had the vernacular to really explain this. I'm sure that you guys get what I'm saying, but you were just able to kind of feel the land and know what seeds needed to go where and know how long it was going to take for it to grow. Like, it was really masterful how you were able to grow things. And that's probably why you were so valuable. Both of your talents in your masculine and your feminine form were so valuable to the people who were probably conquering you because they needed that insight. But it was something that came so naturally to you. But your masculine version definitely was able to work with the land and plant seeds, and it would grow. Like, I don't think that he ever had a bad season. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty miraculous how he worked and tended to the land. So that's really fascinating there. So yeah, so let's clear that out. And then, how did you live your life? How did Pile 1 live their life? I really hope that you are digging this reading, guys. I'm really enjoying this. It's so fascinating. But you definitely will have to let me know if any of this makes sense in your life now. See, I keep shuffling the cards, and it's just out of habit. I don't need to do that. So I'm sorry for shaking the table. But let's see, Pile 1. Ooh, how'd you live your life? The 7 of Wands, yeah. Definitely constantly on the defensive, you know, this Mars and Leo energy again, but you did not back down easily. Like, you did not back down. The Justice card. Yin, Yang, boy, girl, feminine energy, Venus and Capricorn. The 8 of Cups. How did you live your life? How did Pile 1 live their life? Oh, beautiful. Oh, the Sun again. I can't help but, you know, regardless of whatever the challenges were, Saturn represented here. Saturn. Oh my gosh. There were so many challenges and just obstacles, but you would dance. You were able to smile and make light out of terrible situations. And I do think, again, it was because you and your brother, which is you and yourself, you and your sister, you and yourself, really, look, y'all knew how to enjoy each other's company. And so you really got to have like a good time. You needed 2 of you in order to navigate this, but you really kept a smile on your face, and you just understood, you know, that this was just how life was going to be, and you would have your time to come back and see the fall of what was taken from you. And I know that's very specific, but yeah, the 10 of Swords, wow. And again, that Gemini energy Gemini energy represented there in the 8 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So, how did you live your life? You know, the real honest answer is you lived your life in fear. You lived your life in fear. There was always an underlying energy of fear. But you balanced it out with family and good time. You balanced it out with love. And I do feel like you were always on the go. Saturn and Pisces, you didn't stay gone. You were very much mobile. And I get with that Aries too. Like, you were not above running away. And they really would gonna have to catch me first, you know. So I do feel like there was this dissatisfaction of constantly having to leave and reroute it. And then once you were able to stay put, you definitely stayed put and created a beautiful home for yourself. Because like I said, you were unable to experience that before. So it meant everything to you in order to be able to live your life in that way. And so you did, but you lived your life to the best that you could. You made the best out of very shitty situations. And that's a freaking understatement. You were not one to be played with. You believed in yourself no matter what. You knew in your soul, no matter what they called you, no matter what they labeled you, you knew that you were royalty. You knew that you were important. You knew that you were worthy of God's love, regardless of the circumstances that you were in. And oh my gosh, I feel like I want to cry now, because if you feel anything less than that because of the world that we lived in, because of what society is telling you now, then deep down, you of all people have known that it's just not true. You have known that, like, it's not true. You came in with this thing and you were just like, nobody's better than me. I was created perfectly as I am, and I'm going to live my life to the fullest. Like I said, you were a deeply spiritual person. You did miss, and you spent a lot of time in your memories is what I'm hearing. So we're going to look into how you passed, but I feel like you could have easily just kind of, your mind just might have left you. You know, I feel like your mind left and then your soul followed, because you had to stay in the past because you remembered brighter days. You were so nostalgic about, you know, the life that you had before it was kind of shattered. But what drives you is definitely getting justice and seeing it balance out with the Saturn card. And this has been a long time coming. We got Taurus energy and Leo there with the universe. So you will be able to live the life that was stolen from you again in this lifetime. So I can't wait to get into the karma readings. I can't get too deep into that because, you know, that we're doing another reading for that in another day. But definitely, what a journey. All that, you know, almost all those cards, except for like one, maybe two, the Sun card, right? Had Saturn on it. So that's very fascinating. But you certainly lived your life in fear, constantly in movement, but you outstood the test of time. You survived. You did what you had to do in order to survive. You had a lot of children. Between the two of your souls, right? It could be like, you know, your male side had so many and your, you know, feminine side had so many. You know what I'm also hearing? And you're going to, you know, take this or leave this, but you might have been, you know, take a breath. We can't assign today's moralities to yesterday's living. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also getting this energy that like you and your twin could have been together. You know how they used to do in the older times and all that other stuff, especially if you went through this. So you might have made your life with your twin. Please understand the context. Let's be mature. You know, Game of Thrones. But, you know, just take that. It doesn't have to resonate. But if you do have issues in love, it's because, like, you loved yourself in a past life. But I feel like I was divinely orchestrated. So I don't want to, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I do feel like you could have been with your twin, you know, like you guys could have really stayed together and built a home together. Hence why you were so homely for both of you. So that's, you know, hey, listen. I'm just saying what I see. And I feel like some of y'all might have thought that before it even dawned on me, to be honest. So now let's look into how did you die? Wow. Suddenly, with the Eight of Wands there, let's keep looking. The Four of Swords in your sleep. Okay. That's really nice. And the Fool card. Let's see, 3 more cards. How did pile 1 die? The Six of Cups. Oof, the Devil. It's very interesting. I'm just hearing, I know that sounds crazy, but like you were so ready to go, like you were so ready to die because you just knew that was like the only way out of kind of the shiz cycle that you were in, that you were born into, the Three of Cups, and you knew that you would really be able to reunite with the people that you lost in love. So you welcomed death. Your death was a very easy transition. You probably went in your sleep. It might have been sudden to other people, but I feel like you definitely were like, I'm not going to be here much longer. So let me get it out my system. Let me do what I got to do. Let me say goodbye to all my homies. And then you were kind of like out. And I'm also feeling like, I know this sounds crazy, but you deteriorated very quickly. So it's just like you were very strong, very powerful and all this other stuff. And then once you were like, again, once your mind kind of left, then your body just quickly followed. And you could have been very nostalgic. You just wanted to go back home. I do feel like you were buried. This sounds really interesting, but you would probably be able to find out and sense where you were buried. I feel like they're your bones. You could probably get your bones. I don't know if that's possible. But I do feel like if they really started exhuming up bodies and all that other stuff, you would probably be able to see your bones from your past life because it's not that deep. You know, this wasn't that long ago. What do we say? 2-3 lifetimes ago. Like this was not that long ago. So, and you came back quickly. I don't feel like you stayed in the dead space very long. But I am getting here when you died, when you went down under, you know, I do feel like you stored a lot of anger. So it probably took you some time to incarnate, or you were very like angry, hostile child. You might be fine now, but I just feel like you really you really didn't want to be here at first. But now you're meeting friends, soul tribes, family, and all the other stuff. But you definitely long for that family that was really taken away from you. But I do feel like you kind of died in your sleep. It was a rapid deterioration, but you were ready to go and restart. And you knew when you died, again, you knew when you died that you were coming back. So you died with the full intention, but Spirit was like, hold on. Listen, I don't believe that you went to hell with the devil card. But I just feel like you carried a lot of anger when you passed over to the other side. So Spirit was like, hey, you need to chill out before I let you go back, because if I let you go back and you're too angry, well, then no one wins. Like, you have to calm down a little bit, because you didn't hold it in. Like I said, you were no punk, but you definitely held a lot of pieces in with you as you started to travel through this lifetime and all this other stuff. So you weren't able to express your anger until you passed, until you entered that, whatever that other dimension is. And you were like, oh my God, you like went ballistic when you finally died. So you had to calm down. They're like, whoo, okay. Get back in tune with that Pisces energy before you could exit back out into the world. But I do feel like you're here now. Obviously, you're watching this. So you calmed down a lot. Hopefully, you're looking at it from a place of compassion. But I don't feel like a lot. I feel like a lot of you hold a lot of contempt. And maybe you didn't know why. So maybe that this is addressing it. Because your soul was directly affected by European colonization. I can say that. I can say that confidently. So that is what I got for you. Pile number 1. 45 minutes. Dang it. So I really hope that this made sense. I hope that this gave you some sort of context to who you are, who you're becoming, who you were. And maybe this filled in some of the gaps that you had questions in that you weren't able to answer. Please let me know in the comment section about how this felt to you. If this made sense, if this triggered some things, I want to know. I hope that this did. That was the intention of this. And this was a fascinating reading. And you are a fascinating individual, Pile 1. Or your soul has lived a very fascinating life. And again, I know that we're watching this general, right? So you got to take what resonates, take what resonates and all that good stuff. But I do feel like a lot of people were affected by a lot of things that happened. So it's not, it wouldn't be, crazy to be able to share like, oh, they took over your village. Man, they took over my village too. Really? Yours too? Yeah. Look how many villages they took over, guys. So it really isn't that far-fetched. It is not. So you definitely have some commonplace here. I definitely think that you should tune into whatever your roots are, wherever your original home is, because you would really be able to freaking find the bones that your angels come from. So that is what I got for you, Pile 1. Thank you again so much for joining me. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm bringing out my CashApp card before I forget, because I was literally about to forget. But I just want to say thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. And if you'd like a personal reading, please, that information is in the description box below. This is my donation card, guys. If you are interested, I appreciate it. $1, $5 are simply a prayer. Means the world to me. So Cash App, capital A, capital B, lowercase EV224. And if PayPal is more up your speed, that link is in the description box below. Whew. All right. So we are going to move into pile number 2. This reading, we're already at almost an hour. So hopefully this reading does not turn off. I don't care if it does turn off. I'm going to just post a part 2. I don't care. You ain't finna get me. That was a deep reading, and I'm not doing that over again. Alrighty. Alrighty, so let's get into it. So this is if you picked pile number 2. I am AD with Kosmostrology, and this is your pick a card reading. This is the Knight of Swords. So let's hop straight into it, guys. The first pile was so fascinating. It was so detailed. So I think that this is just going to be one of those readings. So I really hope that this helps fill in the gaps about who were you in a past life? Who was I in a past life? What did I do? What was I into? So the questions that we're going to be asking specifically, pile 2, is 1, we're going to be looking at your personality traits. We're going to be getting a general overview of who you were. We're going to be looking at your talents, interests, possibly career. And we're going to look at how did you live your life, and then how did you die, okay? So that is really fascinating. I'm going to stick this over here. We're going to jump right into it because this reading is running long, so get comfortable, okay? Get comfy. You hear me? Because, yeah. All right, let's look into it. So at first I'm starting to tune into how many lifetimes ago was this. For pile 1, it was really recent. It was like one of their most recent lifetimes. So we're going to look to see how yours comes. So what energy does Spirit specifically want us to focus on? I'm going to pull a couple cards and you can see like what number resonates with you the most. So we got 2 again. So this is a relatively recent past life for some of you. Let's see if we can get any more information. Times of life. You reflect the world, and the world reflects you. We have it is progressing well now, and we have 12. That's so interesting. I was about to say you definitely have lived a lot of lifetimes, pal 2. You are certainly an old soul. So here's kind of how I'm feeling about this juxtaposition between the 2 and the 12. Some of you, this was a really recent past life. For others of you, this lifetime you took a rest from, like you took a rest after this. So you'll know which one resonates with you as we go further along. But some of you guys pretty much reincarnated very quickly. Others of you waited, or you had very calm lifetimes in the middle of this, like where you were like, I'm not doing it. I'm chilling out for a little bit. So between 2 and 12 lifetimes for you. For some of you, this was your 2 lifetimes ago. For others of you, it was 12 lifetimes ago, okay? So the range is very big and expansive. So let's go ahead and look into it. So of course, we're starting off with the astrology cards to look into your personality. And like I said in pile 1, I do subscribe to Vedic astrology, but this shouldn't really matter just because you're not necessarily in these energies. You might find some similarities in your chart, and that's worth taking note. But as far as the actual placements, it shouldn't matter. Wow, that's so funny. The 11th house, friends. So strong community vibes, Aquarius energy represented there. And Aquarius energy popping out. Oh my gosh, I'm getting, oh, this is cool. And when I said past lives, I meant to say this in the intro, but don't limit yourself into what you think that could be, because I'm about to say I do feel like your past life was out of space in another galaxy. You're definitely, you could be a starseed person. Pile number, this is so funny. Pile number 1 was deeply connected to the earth as we know it, this continent, right? You definitely, I feel like I'm going on a ship in my favorite rocket ship, blasting through the sky. Hold a little Einstein. I feel like you were out in space. So you might be an alien. You might have felt like an alien. I feel like you're really good with technology. Yeah, you come from oh my gosh, this is so crazy, guys. All these downloads. I've never done a reading like this, and this is fascinating. I'm getting that you actually come from a galaxy that they're way more technologically advanced than we are. So you've downgraded. An iPhone is a downgrade to you. And Android is a downgrade to what you're used to. So you've definitely felt very alien, very out of place. I'm very much hearing, because Andromeda, what is that, Pleiades? I believe that there's a whole alien confederation and all the other stuff. The Americans, the humans got kicked out of it. At some point, it's a whole theory, guys. You probably know this. You might be very much into sci-fi or just be doing like weird shiz. But yeah, Mercury retrograde. So Earth was important to them. Air is important to you. So you definitely lived your life in the sky. I'm really seeing one of those images of like those floating kind of space controls things is really what I'm seeing. We got Virgo and Gemini represented there. Libra. All air, guys. This is crazy. So Venus also represented. So you were definitely known for your mind in a past life. Even in this alien form, your mind was exceptional. So you were extremely smart. Some of you guys might have incarnated and you might have like, how do I say this? You might have felt like you're on the spectrum or have been diagnosed with autism, or your kids might be kind of autistic or something. And I say that with absolute love. I really feel like it's a misunderstanding. It's just because, again, this galaxy was so far ahead and beyond. And if you're not an alien person, pile 2, then maybe you want to pick another pile, because I really am getting that like this lifetime was definitely not on Earth as we know it, let me specify, as we know it in this context of lives. But like I said, a lot of you have had a long rest between you and this lifetime. So this is pretty interesting. But I definitely feel like you were from a different galaxy. Yeah, the part of fortune increase. So you were very abundant, but I feel like, again, money didn't exist in the same way, or currency didn't exist as we know it in this lifetime. You know, it's very different than we know it. Yeah, South Nodes, life debt, and Sagittarius, I see. And they have 8th house, the ending, the beginning. So Scorpio represented here. K2, part of fortune. I am getting, yeah, there was like, you weren't able to, with the life's debts. Hold on, just give me a second to tune into this. I do imagine that there was a lot of loss in your past life for whatever reason. Like you would get something and then you would lose it. So let's say that if you had $1 million, you would lose that $1 million. Like, and maybe you feel like that pattern has kind of played out in your life. Of course, we're going to keep looking into that tomorrow, or not tomorrow necessarily, but later this week, I am going to be doing the karma energies. So it's interesting that the karma came out first. But I just feel like you were definitely could have been born in a time where this civilization was being lost. You know who I'm getting an image of? Superman. I really feel like Superman. I feel like you and your people, you were probably sent here to Earth, like your spirit, your energy might have been sent here to Earth as kind of like a last ditch effort to keep this knowledge going. Because I do feel like these people had to hide. Your tribe still exists and they watch over you, is what I'm hearing. And you probably have had really weird circumstances, or just like you might be able to hear, like, I don't know. I'm hearing this weird sound. It's like a, like, hold on. Like that. Like, I feel like there's like a language that you speak or have access to that when you hear certain things, you know that that's it. That's really odd. I've never made that. I mean, I can make that noise, but like never in conversation. So I just feel like your communication in your past life was through sounds like that. It wasn't words as we know them. Like, you're on some new shiz. This is so interesting. I hope I did not lose you, Pal 2. If I did, please. Pal 1 was definitely on Earth. But you, I really don't feel like you were, Pal 2. So just bear with me. I really do get like this really alien energy from you. Again, I want to honestly do that daggone, like I want to do the reading like that, like and you were definitely under your mind. So let's look into what some more zodiac signs and some more placements. Venus. Oh, wow. So, and I got this with the Libra card too, so I'm happy that Spirit is clarifying. Your people are beautiful, okay? The people that you come from are beautiful. Maybe if you look up, it might not be in this galaxy. Like, I don't want to limit it to this planet because we're only so small. And I feel like you know that about people, but you would have like a Venetian equivalent, you know, planet that you're from, where your people would be universally stunningly beautiful. Like your people, beauty wasn't really even a thing there, because it didn't matter, because it was more mind. Everything was focused on the mind, because they had mastered beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had mastered beauty. Like, if you were born on this galaxy, you're just a beautiful person, and stunning to any species. It didn't matter. Like, once you were discovered, then everybody was like, where do these people come from? This is what I thought was beautiful. Perhaps y'all were blue or had some green in you. You might have been your tone might have been a different color. Oh my gosh, you know what I'm getting? You could transform y'all were like very shapeshifters, kind of what I'm getting, especially with the Mercury energy here. You were shapeshifters, and life's K2. Oh, absolutely. Sagittarius, absolutely shapeshifters. And so you could really turn into kind of like the siren or deep desires, but it was like, it was done on a mental level. I'm also seeing here too, this could have happened underwater. So this could be like Atlantis. So you were either in the sky or underground, if that makes sense. But it was an alien. You're an alien species in this last lifetime. This is so fascinating. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Aquarius. again, which is aliens for sure. So Spirit is just really confirming this for me. Guys, I hope it's confirming this for you, but I really do think that your technology was so advanced. You had moved, you lived the virtual reality that people on this planet in this realm think about and project, and like, are we in a simulation? Your people, where you come from, you would have been the species to make that happen. Like, you're already living this. You're like, psh, is it possible? Like, psh, we made y'all, you know, like it really is like this very ancient alien civilization is where you live this last lifetime. But again, it was on the decline. Something happened. Something definitely happened when you were being brought up. But yeah, I'm definitely getting that energy. Aquarius, the star energy, the moon. So just representing space. Again, of course, I mean, I know all this is in space, but I just feel like you definitely look at the control and all this other stuff in the wings that are there. So fire and this blue energy and Sagittarius. One more. Let me see. Taurus. Oh, wow. So Venus, all this same energy keeps coming out, guys. This is so fascinating. Spirit, I want to tune into that Sagittarius energy. I don't think that I'm getting what I need from that. Is it the knowledge? I definitely get something here that like you could have worshipped fire with that Sagittarius energy, but there was a lot of wisdom. I do feel like, I don't know why I'm getting that your ancestors or this last lifetime, because I do feel like this species still exists. I know that's weird, but I feel like they still exist, but not nearly at the form that they did before. And so maybe you always feel like a longing, like E.T. phone home. But I do imagine that these people acquired a lot of knowledge. They just knew a lot. So I'm telling you, your soul is so far advanced from humans. It's nuts. I'm just getting this energy of like a gladiator or like a protector of knowledge. Your people protect knowledge. That's why you're here also, is kind of like to help protect knowledge and thought and freedoms. Whew, this is so fascinating. But still with the moon card, there's a deeply intuitive nature about yours, but it's intuitiveness in the form of like knowledge and in technology. So I don't know if you can hear the ice cream truck going around. But yeah, and I do feel like your people, your alien tribe, I guess, they lived an extremely luxurious life, hence the ice cream truck. There was just a lot of riches and gold and all this beautiful stuff. They were beautiful people, you know. I am also getting with Sagittarius, I'm hearing Zeus, but you'd be like the people who lived on Mount Olympus, you know what I'm saying? So I am getting this energy here where you definitely are like a guardian of knowledge, but you're very, very beautiful. And probably your beauty is what had other people underestimate you in your past lifetime. So really fascinating. So let's get into the general overview, guys, for this reading. So just a general overview of like who you were. But yeah, you could have had Taurus energy, Sagittarius energy. So I know I'm speaking about the people, so let me tune back in. I'm sorry, I jumped a little bit, but I just feel like this happened in Pile 1 too, where I talked about more of the community. But to talk about you were certainly in your past life, you were definitely a very wise sage person. You had a lot of information, and you were steady in giving that information. Extremely beautiful. You know, you were beautiful. Even you were more beautiful than even the beautiful ones. You know, for it to come out. But I do feel like you just come from a good-looking group of people. Very grounded energy with the Taurus Aquarius energy here, but at the same time super flexible. So you knew who you were. You were not willing to compromise who you were, but you could fit into any situation. So I feel like that probably follows you now, where you feel like a shapeshifter. It's not physically shifting shape, right, like it was in the past lifetimes, but you definitely were. You definitely still carry that energy. You know how to gather information for sure. So we're looking at your general overview of who were you in a past life. Ooh, 4 cups. Interesting start. So let's see. The Queen of Cups. Let me see. The 3 of Wands. So I would definitely say that you were a feminine. The Seven of Swords. You were definitely a feminine in your past life. Justice. And we got these last two, so I'm going to go ahead and take them. The Nine of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. Oh my gosh. Can I put this down here? I'm going to put it to the side and then I'll bring it back in. And at the bottom of the deck, the bottom energy that we have is, yeah, the Judgment card. Okay, so very fascinating. So who are you in your past life? I will say there was definitely a dissatisfied energy. You had this desire to explore. You probably still carry this desire to explore, but you were alone in that. Like with all that Aquarian energy, ooh, this is so interesting. So with all the Aquarian energy, Aquarians are big about community and all this other stuff. So I do feel like your tribe or your alien family or whatever, they were really big on like, we all do this the same because they were so efficient and so smart. But I do feel like in your past life, you were definitely like, I want to do art, or you were more on the creative sense or the more empathetic side. So you were absolutely smart and brilliant. But I do feel like, oh, this is so specific. This is crazy. I do feel like you were like, listen, you could sense the demise of your people because they had gotten so out of touch with their feminine side. They had moved so far into the masculine and technology side. Like I said, they were hecka far more advanced than we were in this past life. And I feel like you were there to master your femininity. Again, we're going to be looking into past life karmas later on down the week. So maybe you want to keep that you pick pile 2 and follow that number if that calls for you to do that. But you don't have to. But I feel like you definitely had to like hide your femininity for some reason. I'm getting that, this community might have been very uniform and how they were done. Like they didn't see any separation between man and feminine. They had like out-scienced it. You know what I'm saying? Or you could be, and again, with the shape-shifting, it didn't matter. You could be male or female. It was so elusive. But I felt like you really identified with a portion of yourself that you weren't able to fully explore because it was lost in the sauce. So I feel like in your past life, I'm getting this energy, and again, this sword energy. So funny that you picked the Knight of Swords. But I feel like you could have easily run away, or again, you were sent away in that Superman way that I said before. But I just feel like you kind of ran away to go explore. With the Sagittarius energy, you were kind of, I don't want to say that you were necessarily an outcast. Maybe that is the word, but you definitely forged your own place for yourself with the Nine of Pentacles. I'm so curious what your love reading, because I feel like, you might have fallen in love with like a different species. And like you were like, how to learn how to communicate with like this different species, especially with that Justice card. But you definitely felt like trapped in your last lifetime because it was so efficient and you were definitely more of the expressive kind. And so in this lifetime, you might be the opposite, or that still reigns true. Your soul is just always like, I'm not super into, even here, you might be either like really good with technology, so much so where like, you're like, where you can fix everything, your IT, or you just can't stand it. You're like, oh my gosh, like, ugh, it gives me PTSD. Like, this is not all that it's cracked up to be, you definitely were called to like, as surrounded as you were by all that air energy and fast thinking, you were certainly deep in your emotions. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio represented here. I just feel like you came into this life. I feel like if you came as a woman, it really is to balance out and hopefully be able to explore your feminine energy outside the realms and bounds of technology. Hence why it's so interesting that you're back in the same, boat at to some extent, right? With all the gender thing that's going on right here, I feel like you are in the midst where like you feel different, where you could be trans, or you could just feel out of body, or you're super duper feminine even if you're a woman, you're super duper feminine and you're like, I don't want to touch anything masculine, but I just feel like you will definitely lean more feminine for most people, and you wanted to explore that because it was so masculine in your past world. Or maybe, I know that I said that you were definitely a girl, but now as I keep explaining it, it could have been all men and everything was done through work and you were just fascinated, like, there's a girl, I want to be one of those. So that's why you kind of came as a girl. Maybe for some of you guys. Again, take what resonates. If this makes sense or if this doesn't make sense, you can let me know. But the one thing that is very true is that it was super isolated. I don't feel like you felt very accepted or understood, even in that realm that you came from. You still felt misunderstood. Well, aliens go through it too, apparently, guys. With the Four of Swords and the Four of Cups, you were not satisfied. I can get that. You felt like there was more. Either you ran away and you went to go explore that for some of you, or others of you just had this longing that there was something more. And the people around you, when I say people around you, didn't understand what you wanted. So you definitely were isolated, and you lived a lot in your imagination, which was so foreign to the people around you. So I imagine that even now you feel super foreign, and it could be because you're so smart. But like I said, like, even all of this was happening, you were still a great mind. You know what I'm saying? You were still super duper smart. And you were right, because you saw the demise coming, because you said, guys, we've gotten so far out of touch with femininity and everything. Like, our empire is going to fall. We've gotten everything down to a science, but science doesn't solve everything, you know? And I feel like that could be one of your main causes in this lifetime, is just like, hey, science does not solve everything. Some of it is internal. Some of it is spirituality. But that was just really foreign to the people that you were with. That's so fascinating. And yeah, with this Judgment card, I do feel like you definitely told people and shared your ideas with others, but I feel like they weren't accepted within your community too much, or, you just felt, I don't know, I guess you could be like a mystic, like you just thought about life and how it kind of worked and played out, but people listened to you, but people were also kind of critical of you. But I definitely feel like you felt trapped for your general. So, oh shoot, that might resonate somewhere now, where it could just be like you're in your hometown and you're like, oh, why are these people only focused on one thing? I want to do other stuff, So yeah, so let's look into that. So now it's like, what were your talents and interests? Sorry, I have the decks pre-picked out, so I'm grabbing the wrong ones. But it's just like, what were your natural talents and interests and possible career? What did you do for work? Oh, interesting. More Aquarius energy, guys. It was science. It was very science-based. The stars, the Four of Swords. What did pile 2 do? What is this? The Six of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords. Oops, excuse me. Excuse me. Oof, the Five of Pentacles. You definitely worked alone. So maybe you feel like you have to work alone in this life. Oh my goodness, the Death card. I need another. Can I get one more clarifier, please? The World and the Queen of Pentacles. Okay. So I take it back. I take it back again. I was like, I do feel like you were a feminine energy. But you know what? I might not. You know why I might keep going back and forth is because I'm still using my very, not only human, but also American and also English version of male and feminine energy. So it might be different. The gender roles might have been a little different from how I can recognize them in their truest form, because there was still like an ambiguity. So let's put it here too. It's just like the feminine, like what if, like a seahorse or something, how the men are the ones who are really responsible for carrying the kids and all the other stuff, and that's different from what we do up here. It could be something like that, where the traditional feminine masculine roles are differently expressed in this culture that you come from. So maybe again, I just feel like you've probably been very confused on this life. Like you probably asked a lot of questions when you were younger, like, why is this that? Why is that set up like this? I don't get it. And you wouldn't, because it's completely alien to you. So it'll be interesting to see your past. I might have to add a question for you guys. I know why pile 1 kind of reincarnated. This wasn't a specific question, but it came through. I'm gonna have to ask, why did you reincarnate? So hopefully I don't forget. But yeah, let's see the stars. So you definitely did something where you were isolated. I do feel like you were, and it just could be because of science. The technology had advanced so far and so much for what it did, that I do think that everything was kind of compartmentalized. And so you worked with technology in some way. But with the World card, the Death card, and again, I feel like You were in charge, or you had to reestablish something. So you were definitely somebody who, you could have been like a builder or architect, but you would look at something, see a vision on how to carry it out, and then you would be in charge of communicating that. But like I said, I don't feel like you didn't work with a lot of people. You were kind of isolated, but there was definitely something here about whatever the resources were. You held a lot of resources and a lot of power. Oh wait, didn't we see the Venus and Libra energy? Yeah, there was something here about you. Ooh, I'm like getting like half the message. I'm gonna just have to keep taking more cards, you know? It is what it is. This is a long reading, guys. So, yeah, the Hangman. Yeah, I'm getting like this Piscean energy from you too, but I just, I wish I had the words. Like, I just feel like you saw so much more and what could be done than what was being done at the time. So I'm just having like this vision of you were in charge of like building buildings, but you were like one of the first people in this species to be like, hold on, making buildings is an art too. So why can't I like add like a spiral staircase or whatever the heck, like interior design, but you know, architecture, but really appreciating the artistic side of architecture. And again, I do feel like you were a feminine. So we don't typically see that on this, but I just feel like you were in charge of building. I know that this is very specific too, but you could have easily been a part of building the pyramids, right? You know, they always say the alien people, and I know we get into it because I'm just like, people like, you know, black, they always trying to take stuff from black people. It couldn't have been black people, it was aliens. But I think it's a mixture of both. I think that we have a very limited understanding of like how everything interacts, if that makes sense. It's like, why couldn't they be black aliens, you know? So I feel like that could have been here, not to bring race into this picture, but I just feel like you definitely had an eye for how to build things to worship other entities, or you just understood the importance of luxury. You understood the importance of beauty where other people might not have. But I just see like you just taking the earth and really building things. So you might construct things now, you know, you might have visions of, you know, you might have a very specific vision or kind of what you want for your house, and different things. Is there anything else? That's a very interesting reading. But I'm also hearing for others of you, some of you, you know, will build up, up, up. Others of you would build down, down, down. So you could have been in charge of like sending whatever the equivalent to of burying people in this culture and in this lifestyle. You could have been in charge of that too, with the death to the Five of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords. I feel like you definitely orchestrated like where these dead souls went, or however you form that. So you might have an interesting fascination with death, or just, what is it, where you have, it's not mortars, but that's not the right word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Morgue, working at a morgue and all that good stuff. The Eight of Cups to the High Priestess. Yeah, I feel like the Ace of Pentacles. You definitely acquired a lot of wealth. How you did it, I don't know. But I really do feel like you acquired a lot of wealth. And why I say I don't know is because the High Priestess is here. I feel like you really, and again, more Piscean energy, I just feel like you knew how to just you understood business, or you understood how to curate something. And again, I'm very limited in how I can describe this because I'm not sure what the setup of the structures were in this, but I hope that some of this is just jogging your memory. But you definitely were wealthy, and celebrated. Oh, you want to know something too? Your beauty. I really do feel like your beauty was something that stood out. And maybe, oh my gosh, maybe that's why like you were so anxious to like get out of that situation, because you were just very confined and limited to your beauty. Sorry, my dog's tail just started like going off. So maybe it's just like does resonate. But yeah, I just feel like you were very confined by your beauty to some extent and by your luxury. Yeah, so maybe that resonates with you today, where you just feel like, you know, stuck in kind of like this system, and you're like, I'm more than the system, but yet this system does benefit me. hence the dissatisfaction. But you were definitely a star. I do think that you had a lot of like notoriety and stuff and a lot of wisdom that you shared. I hope that this is making sense. This has covered a lot. You had a very complex, it was very complex. Pile 1 was more straightforward, but again, it was in English, so I could understand it. You had your own language, but I'm just very much hearing that a lot of people talked about your beauty. A lot of people came to visit you because of your beauty, and it made you a very wealthy feminine energy. But at the same time, your head was just always in the clouds, and you were always like, ugh, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. I need to get out of here. So that would be, wow, the star card came out again, the first out. So just that galaxy, and a galaxy far, far away. And you were definitely celebrated. You were certainly celebrated for your beauty. So this is interesting. Like I said, you come from a line of beautiful people, but you were even beautiful amongst the beautiful. You were a standout and a star amongst people who are already standout and stars. So you can just imagine that energy. So maybe in this lifetime, you just came in and you're just like, ugh, I don't even want to focus on that. Like, I just want to be like, I want to curate my artistic talents, or I want to curate my mind. But like I said, even though you were so beautiful, you still were extremely smart. And I feel like you were just the subject to a lot of poking and prodding, you know, but yet your ideas started a lot of things technologically and was able to build. It's very crazy. I hope, please let me know if this makes sense. But I want to see, why did you choose to reincarnate? That was the question that I want to add for y'all. Why did you choose to come back and reincarnate? The Page of Swords, that's funny. I feel like you still think that there's more to learn. Yeah, the Knight of Wands. You're a very curious cat. You're an extremely curious cat. And like, you come, the Queen of Wands, beautiful. Sagittarius energy again. The Knight of Swords, just backing it up. So air and fire, air and fire. I feel like you just came to really learn. Your brain requires a lot. The Queen of Swords, that's so funny. We have the Nine of Swords here. So don't fry your brain out, is kind of what I'm hearing. You might get burnout, or you might, again, I know when I'm sleep deprived, I can talk different languages, like it's tongues, it's really crazy. I've definitely had them mental breakthroughs, you know what I'm saying? And they're wild rides. So Spirit is really cautioning you. I do feel like you have to learn how to navigate this world and communicate with mere humans, mere mortals, because you could easily be misunderstood, but you really chose to reincarnate to learn more. And like I said, to possibly bring back to your people, like I said, I do feel like you're definitely that star seed, right? With the star came out 3 times. You're definitely a star seed to learn compassion, to learn you know, love and procreation and all the other stuff, because this thing is just so far advanced to the left that you had to come in as a woman and kind of help reset that standard that feels like it's been lost. So very strong feminine energy. But you came to learn, and you came to explore, and you came to ask questions and gather all the information that you possibly could to take it back to your people, which I don't know if they will be even expecting it, because they limited you so much in your past life because of your looks. But you came back to like really put your people back on the map. So you're learning everything here so you can teach it later, you know, Sagittarius. So you could easily be a teacher again, but I do feel like you're definitely probably going to have another lifetime. But I don't think that it's going to be here in this realm. You come from a different place, you're visiting to gather information and collect data, and then you're going back to wherever you came from, back to the grind. So this is kind of not, you know, Earth is not a vacation for anyone, and I think that you know that, you know, but it does teach you a lot of great lessons. So when you do reincarnate again, which is going to be fascinating, whenever you get back to kind of like your home galaxy or your home turf, you're going to be, like I said, damn near a prophet, because you have learned so much. Your soul will have incarnated so much. You in your last life were so dissatisfied because you're like, there has to be more. And so you chose to come to learn, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, there's a lot more. Some of this I'm going to take, some of this I'm not. But then you're going to go back and really be kind of a great teacher. So you might just be kind of living like what you feel to be sort of an ordinary kind of life this lifetime. But you're everything other than ordinary. You are extraordinary, Pile 2. You are literally from a different galaxy, or you're not from this world, and you'll come here to learn. I hope that this relieves a lot of pressure from you. I know I'm being called to say that, but you know, you're not really meant to necessarily participate in this life in the sense of like, okay, you're born, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to have kids, and then I'm going to die. You know, you're more complex than that. So you might be somebody who didn't even want to have kids, or you never saw yourself necessarily getting married, or you don't really have an affinity towards kids, or maybe you really do like kids and you just want to learn about them with the moon card here. But I just feel like you came with a different agenda than other souls to reincarnate here. It wasn't really personal. It was really for mental exercise. You just wanted to see if you could do it and what you can learn here about spirituality. See where the technology is here, you know, kind of like a little spy. You know, it's interesting. It's more than that, but this lifetime, you shouldn't be so worried and fixated on work and what am I going to do for work and my 9 to 5 and all the other stuff. You're really meant to explore and ask questions. So I really hope that you do that, or you give yourself the freedom and permission to explore and travel. You should see as many places and have as many experiences as you possibly can in this lifetime, because that is what you're here for. If you spend this lifetime stuck behind a desk, then that's not what you wanted to do. But I do feel like that practical side of you might be able to, that practical side of you might limit you, hence why it might be a life's debt. So just be aware and acknowledge that. And then so that was your talents, your interest, your kind of job career. Well, I guess it wasn't really a job career. You were like a star. You were definitely could have been like a celebrity and wherever you were, but that was so limiting to who your whole essence and aura was. So you're exploring the other side of you in this. So I guess that was your talent. You were talented. You know, oh, I did list some talents. Okay. But let's see. How did you live your life? Okay. So let's keep going. How did pile 2 live their life? The 9 of Wands. You were very guarded. Look at that Sagittarius energy poking it out too. So you definitely were explorer too, but it was very isolated. Like you were just extremely not. The star has come out in every deck. That's wild. Oh my gosh. That's wild. Oof. Oof. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. The Lovers, interesting. Gemini energy, the Knight of Swords. So you lived your life definitely on the move. The 2 of Swords, Temperance, Sagittarius. Oh my gosh. So you had Sagittarius. You might have Sagittarius in this life, but you definitely had Sagittarius in your past life. You were constantly on the go and exploring. You could not stay in one place for a long time. I do feel like with the 9 of Wands, it was very difficult for people to truly get to know you. Even though people admired you, Libra energy, and you were very, you know, highly looked at, you know, you could have been, another thing that you could have been, I'm hearing too, is like you could have been the wife of a king, right? So you were always compared to him, but you really supported him. You know what I'm saying? You really supported whatever that king was, and he ran with a lot of your ideas, but you didn't really get credit for them. And that might be why I saw like the empire, why I saw the pyramids, because you were definitely a crucial part in building an empire. But I just feel like in whatever the social structures were, it might not have come off that way, if that makes sense. Or it was a matriarch and you were the king, you know, you were the king. And you had to be very protected, and people looked up to you and admired you, but at the same time you had to be very guarded with who you spent your time with. But you were constantly going between being the student, Gemini, to the teacher, Temperance, Sagittarius energy. We also have Scorpio represented here. So Scorpio and Virgo. So you definitely went through a lot of different changes in life. But your biggest thing, even in your past life, was to just gather as much information as you possibly could. You were constantly traveling. You were constantly exploring different galaxies. That's probably why you probably visited Earth and was just like, oh man, that would be a fun place to live. And then you end up reincarnating here. And who knows how far technology is at when you come from, especially with the Aquarius energy just keep coming out. You might come from a place where you can pick it. You know, you might be a time traveler, you know, I have no idea how, you know, but I guess if you are an alien person, spot it, you know, and you know that you're an alien and you know that you're a time traveler, spot it. But definitely in a past life, I don't know how advanced this technology of this empire is, but I do feel like it was stolen and, you know, you're here to regather it and build it back up is what I'm hearing. But for sure, you certainly lived your life on the move. But with the 2 of Swords here, there was definitely some restrictions at points in time. So you were guarded, but you were also very free. you did what you wanted to do with that Sag energy, and you probably still do it here now, you know, but you're not meant to live by anybody's rules but your own. I mean, Sag Aquarius energy is, if that's not a rebel, I don't know what is. You're just not meant to listen to other people. You are such a rule breaker, and you always do that. That is your soul. Your soul is just a natural rebel, but a rebel who is on a spiritual quest for truth. You want to know the truth. You want to know all about life. You will die and live again just to learn more and more about life. You definitely fall into that mystic category where you're just so fascinated with life, cards, tarot, different spiritualities, religions, cultures, that you need all that. You gobble it up. See, look at that noise. Like you do, like you just like take it and you feed into it. And so I just feel like that is your soul. Your soul is such an adventurer. And you're just restricted by time. You get restricted by your lifetimes because you're like, shiz, I'm about to die. Dang it, I didn't learn everything that I need to learn. Looks like I have to come back. So that really is what drives you, is definitely this quest for knowledge. And that was how you lived your life, definitely on the go. Protected, I would say that you had a lot of acquaintances, a lot of admirers, but not a lot of friends. Not a lot of friends at all. Maybe, you know, shoot. I don't even know if you had like one or two. You were so isolated. You were so isolated. But it's lonely at the top. You know, that's what I'm also hearing. And I think that you understood that. I don't know if you were necessarily upset about that in your past life, because you're just like, these people don't understand what I'm going through. So it looks like there's BS in other galaxies too. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, let's go ahead and see, how did you die? You know what I'm also kind of getting? I'm seeing Futurama, so maybe some of you are Futurama fans, but it kind of feels like you were Fry, where you just like, you were frozen, and you know, 10,000 years later you wake up and you're like, what the heck? I kind of get that energy too. Hence why that 2 to 12. So you might have, you know, come back 12 lifetimes. So anyways, death. How did you die? Well, you died, you know, you just died. So I'm definitely hearing, yeah, the Father of Cups, the Nine of Cups. Let me get two more. First, I'm hearing again, there was a different, there's a different relationship to death where you come from. But Son of Swords, the Knight of Swords, again, coming out again, and you pick the Knight of Swords. So I really do feel like in the Knight of Pentacles, you might not have been alive very long, or time might be different. And so you pass in like the adolescent phase of your past life is kind of what I'm hearing. Like you didn't really fully mature. Maybe that's why, again, I don't know what your relationships are with kids in this past, in this current incarnation, but I just feel like you have a very youthful energy. You passed away. I definitely feel you passed away on a trip. You were traveling, but it was somewhere that you wanted to go. You definitely, yeah, Spirit is saying you passed early, but you accomplished a lot in that lifetime, in that time frame, whatever it was that you left. But you definitely didn't reach, I don't think that you reached full maturity, or like as soon as you did, you passed, you know, but you accomplished a lot of goals. But I definitely see that you were traveling some sort. You were probably going to go explore somewhere like you normally do, and there was like a spaceship crash or something. And I feel like it was not necessarily, you certainly passed probably with other people, maybe 2-3 other people. I just see like it was more of a crash. Let me see. Is there anything else I can get about this? The Three of Wands, you were traveling. You were away from home. The Son of Wands. You were certainly away from home when this happened. And the Justice card. But I do get this energy of you were ready to go. Yeah, because it unleashed you from whatever shackles that you had kind of been limited in. You were like, the only way that I'm gonna get out of this is if I freaking die. And so when it did happen, because even though you were able to explore and whatever, you weren't ever able to share the knowledge that you learned or be your true and most authentic self. So you knew that death would provide that freedom. Like I said, very intellectual view. Like I just feel like not a lot of emotion. Yeah, we got the Nine of Cups and the Three of Cups, but those aren't necessarily like emotional cards, right? We have wish fulfillment here and then celebration. I just feel like you're more of a cerebral person. You come from a cerebral type of energy. So death isn't like as traumatizing as we make it here on Earth. You know, you're just like, shiz, if I die, that would really solve all of my issues, because then I could go to that cool planet that I visited and see how they get down and dirty over there. But you did accomplish a lot. But you certainly were in that adolescent phase. But I still want to feel like adolescent phase is it could have been adolescent and you were 100 years old. You know what I'm saying? You know, that if you come from a people who lived to 500, you know, making it 100 years, you're like, that's enough. So I'm getting that. So yeah, so that's what I got for you, pile 2. Ooh, wow. These readings have been running so long, but I really hope that they have made sense to you. Please let me know if they did make sense to you, if they resonate, or if they somehow influenced how you feel about yourself, or if this makes any type of sense. Fascinating reading. Definitely not from this galaxy. I've never seen that so confirmed with all that Aquarius and star energy in my life. So if that didn't resonate with you and you sat through that whole thing, well, good for you. I hope that you enjoyed it, guys. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I am doing Wicked Wednesdays and all that good stuff. So if that is something that you want to be a part of, then please join your girl. I really appreciate you guys. If you like a personal reading, you can find that information in the description box below. And I am bringing on a little Cash App card if you would like to donate to the channel. If you are able to, either $1, $5, just a prayer, I take all of it. I'm so appreciative of you. And if you have donated or gotten a personal reading from me in the past, I super appreciate that. This is Cash App, $, capital A, capital B, lowercase EV224, or PayPal link is in the description box below also. So I hope to see you too. Please shoot me an email if a reading interests you. And yeah, let's hippity hop. Oops. Excuse me. Let's hippity hop into our third pile. So we're starting over here with the Knight of Cups. All right. Pile 3. Last but not least. Welcome, welcome. It is AD with Kosmostrology, and I'm going to be doing your pick a card reading, guys. This is about your past life. Who was I in a past life? We're going to be looking at your personality traits, just your general overview of who you were, your talents, interests, possible careers, and how did you live your life? And then we're ending on how did you die? Bum, bum, bum. So I will say the past 2 readings have been extremely interesting. So I'm so curious and so excited to hop straight into this. Of course, we're not really focusing on karmas and all the other stuff. That's in a different reading. This is just a overall who was I, and we're getting to the nitty gritty. So we are starting off with your astrology cards, but again, this really shouldn't, I do Vedic, of course, but this shouldn't really affect it because it's a different lifetime. Oh, just kidding. I wanted to start off with how many lifetimes are we tuning into back? That's what I wanted to look into. So how many lifetimes ago was this for pile 3? Oops, you know what? I forgot. Sorry, I put this away. I had them sticking out there for the rest of them. So we got 2, 3. Okay, these came out in pile 1. So let me keep looking. 2, but you know, it is a recent lifetime is what I'm hearing too. So yeah, okay, so Spirit is saying 2 to 3 lifetimes for you, no more than 6 at the bottom of the deck. So this is a relatively recent lifetime for you, no more than 2 or 3 lifetimes ago. So let's look into it. I will say, please be open about past life. You know, it might not have been a human past life. You know, I really got strong alien vibes from the second group. So, you know, just be prepared and be open. But it was really fun. So let's look into it. So, what are some personality traits or just an overall understanding of pile 3's past life? Pile 3, the past life for pile 3. Oh, wow. Water element sensing. Okay, so Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Pisces, again, I believe so. You were certainly a water element. You certainly had a lot of Piscean energy. So I am getting here old soul. So you've lived a lot of times before. You are such an old soul. So that's why we're specifically looking into you know, just 2, 3 lifetimes ago, but you've had many. Spirit wants being expressed. You've had many. We're just looking at your most recent because it's probably the most relevant to us today. So 2, 3, wow, lifetimes ago. Yeah, Destiny, man, really powerful energies coming out. So let me see. So I feel like maybe one of these times, Gemini, I think, you know, you might be on one of like your day crescendo. It's kind of what I'm hearing. Like you might be about to bow out. You might be kind of on one of your last lifetimes, just because Pisces has been there, done that, gotten that t-shirt so many times over. We got Gemini, I think a lot of mutable energy. Something is telling me that your last life could have been underwater. So you could be somebody from Atlantis, the quote unquote lost city of Atlantis, or, you know, again, we have to be open with how we interpret that. You know, whales are very, I'm getting an image of a whale. So you could have been in a community of whales or something like that. But I am getting water. But if it was more of that alien form, then I do feel like it was that Atlantis. You lived underwater. It's kind of what I'm hearing. So maybe you have a deep connection to water here. We got solar eclipse revolution, the sun card. And then Mercury mind, so Virgo and Gemini again, and the Grand Cross Provoker. So it's crazy. I'm also getting, yeah, whatever your last past life was with the Gemini and the Pisces energy, I do feel like one of the talents or one of the specific gifts that you've had or that your people kind of have is definitely shape-shifting, or able to just adapt to any environment. So maybe you find yourself that now. Some of you could be actors or just kind of do creative arts and all the other stuff. I would imagine that you have a very deep empathetic side, but I really feel like you come from people who were able to shapeshift. And now it's funny because Pile 2 represented that here, but even you more so, Pile 3. Excuse me, with all this mutable energy. They were the Sagittarius side. You're literally all the other ones. So that's pretty fascinating here. So let me see. Am I getting anything else? I got more information from everybody else from these first couple cards, but that's the strongest thing that I'm coming up with. Let's keep going. I feel like your reading's going to heat up. I don't know why I'm getting that energy. But I feel like there's a lot of fight. And what do I mean by that? I just feel like with this provoker, this destiny, and this Mercury mind, you challenged a lot of beliefs of the time. You challenged a lot of thinking of the time. But let me keep going. Let me keep looking into it. This is Capricorn. So Pile 3 traits. Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting this, guys, but you come from a whatever your last life was, the environment that you came from, it's very mysterious. I feel like we don't even know a lot about it now, because it's getting difficult for me to kind of tune into it, but it's fine. We're gonna figure I'm gonna plow through it. You know what I'm saying? More Earth energy. Neptune, I knew it. I was like, there's something pretty mystical and elusive about this Pisces energy, represent again Sagittarius also, but there's something kind of elusive about this Mercury and Leo. So the energies are popping out the same. So Spirit's like, girl, you got it in Earth. So I do feel like, yeah, so that's what I'm hearing. So yeah, wow, okay, thank you, Spirit. Now I get it. You were here on Earth. You're from Earth. Pile 2 was not from Earth, but you are from Earth, but you are an alien on Earth. Like like I said, you're from underwater. Like you would be like people, you probably resonate to mermaids and all the other stuff, but even that is such a limited depiction of what really goes on under the sea. Under the sea. Da-da-da-da. Under the sea. I just feel like you came from somewhere like underwater. But it was Earth, but it's foreign. It's still a space. And I say that all the time. And, you know, I say that. I was like, it's so funny because we're so fascinated with exploring, you know, the galaxy and the Milky Way and the stars and the moon and all the other stuff, but we don't pay nearly enough attention to the Earth, to where we are in the deep waters. Nobody knows what the crap is going on down there. And I feel like it's just as active as a universe and a galaxy as above, so below. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we really don't understand a lot about what goes underground here because nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody's scared to explore it. But I just feel like you definitely come from like an underwater people who might still be here, or, you know, I feel like they might have gone into hiding here, right? You're watching this video, you know, I'm doing this video. especially with this earth energy, but you were like below the earth. You definitely lived underwater. It's kind of what I'm hearing. You certainly stood out. You talked a lot. People listened to you. I do feel like you were able to garner a lot of attention with the solar eclipse and the Leo. So I do feel like you had a lot of power in your past life. Some of this energy, but you definitely were like a worker. I'm being drawn to the Virgo and the Capricorn. Even though you stood out and all this other stuff, I do feel like you used your mind and the power of communication specifically in order to harness power. But you were certainly not lazy. You're probably still a hard worker now. But I really do feel like isn't this Jupiter, isn't he underwater? Yeah, I feel like he's a mermaid. I do feel like, and we got Neptune, definitely a mermaid. I feel like it was like I think mermaid is a limiting, I just feel like it's slightly inaccurate. You might have, if any of you are artists and all the other stuff and you get called to kind of do a drawing or you have a vision, I feel like it's, we have a very pop version, a pop version of what mermaids are and sirens and all that good stuff. But you definitely do resonate with that energy here. Yeah, that's wild. So let's keep pushing. I'm really getting that. But there's something here again with Neptune, and then we had the Pisces energy represented here and the water sensing. You were certainly an artist or creative at that time too. So there were definitely, that you were certainly an artist. You're probably an artist and a creative now, and you've been that. Your mind just thinks in that way, very dreamy. I imagine that you were very psychic. I'm hearing that you were very, very psychic, and you probably still are. So that is something that just travels with your soul. But I just feel like in this community, in this underwater community, under the sea, under the sea. What I'm also seeing? I'm seeing an octopi. I'm seeing octopus. You could have been an octopus, or like there's a very close relation to octopi within this connection. Like I just feel like you had a lot of information, a lot of intelligence, psychic intuition, but it was like that's just how your people are. That's just how it's not necessarily special where you come from. All of y'all are like that. It might be special here, but there, and you were good at it, mind you, but I just don't think that it was super special. I think that everybody was pretty psychic. And I'm also hearing, I know this sounds really weird, but like you definitely communicated with frequencies and vibrations. So you might be a singer or listen to music now. I don't think that there was a language from your, like you spoke, like again with the whales, like it was through sonics and all that other stuff. You didn't necessarily need words to communicate. You communicated through sounds and vibrations, quite literally. So I think that's why you're so intuitive in this life, because words mean nothing to you. Living underwater, everything is jumbled. So words never meant anything to you. So you came in with this life with such strong discernment, because I do feel like you communicated through like sonic vibes and vibrations in your past life, which is super duper uber fascinating. So let's get into the general overview now. But yeah, you were certainly what in our understanding, lost city of Atlantis, but this could be, I just feel like Atlantis is the one that made it to surface. I feel like there's been entire underwater kingdoms that have existed before, like empires, and they've worked and they had the same kind of political makings that we did, where they were cities and like all this other stuff. I keep being drawn to the Amazon. And so I know that there was like so I'm getting two things with that. I don't know how water has moved. Like, I'm not an expert on how much the earth has changed and the surface has changed and water and all this other stuff, but there is a connection to the Amazon and Brazil and all that other stuff. So there might have been ruins there. So I'm not sure if there was ever water there, but if you weren't, then your soul could have been tied to the Amazonian forest too. Or we just have a very limited understanding of what of the people who were living in the Amazonian at the time. Doesn't have to be, maybe you lived a lifetime there and a lifetime in the Amazonian, and you lived a lifetime underwater. Because I don't know why I keep getting a vision of the forest. But I feel like the deep forest and the deep sea are more similar than people would realize. Is kind of what I'm hearing. But look at this, the Seven of Cups. I just picked it up, and the Seven of Cups is there. And I always look at this because, as you can see, there's more beneath the surface, is how I've always read that card. So that's so interesting. That's so funny, just confirming it. So yeah, this is definitely my mermaids and my mermans. But yeah, maybe you were forced from above underwater and you had to go set up shop in the Amazonian and all that other stuff. What were the lifetimes? It was 3 lifetimes ago. So 2. So maybe we're speaking about your 3rd was underwater and then your 2nd was in the forest somewhere. I don't know why. I just feel like your people have necessarily, like, I'm hearing like extinct. I feel like they might have gone extinct, but like the energy still lingers. So we'll have to look at, maybe that'll come up. But yeah, this is so crazy, but I'm not even using this deck, guys, but this was looking at me, and you see that Egyptian eye there? So you've lived so many lifetimes. That's why I say you've lived so many lifetimes with the Pisces. You've been a mermaid. You've been an Amazonian war princess. You were in Egypt. Like, anytime something was happening, you were there. That's why I feel like you're kind of on this crescendo now in this lifetime, just because you've experienced so much and you've always been able to communicate. But I do feel like your heart, where your soul first originated, I feel like was from water. You come from a people, yeah, this alien tribe. I don't think that they exist anymore necessarily in the way that they did before. They just became water, or they became whales, and they became dolphins. Like, we can't recognize these people when we see them. People, right? But you come from that original making of like that Piscean tribe or whatever. You're a descendant from them. Hence why you probably possess a lot of empathy and a lot of psychic things. But like I said, they're not uncommon to your people. But you always come in these different spaces and share that energy. These readings have been absolutely insane. I've so enjoyed this. Like, oh my gosh, this has been so wild. So let's look. So I am going to take these, but I feel like there's more. So I'm just going to pull these. But we got general overview, the Emperor, the 8 of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. So I think that you were certainly a masculine. And again, I had to say this in pile 2 because I felt like they were feminine in their past life. Now, we're very limited in what that means. We're looking at it again in my not only human, but also American human view of gender, and which is being explored right now. That's not the conversation I'm trying to have, but I definitely pick up you were whatever form of the masculine was in your community. That's kind of where you've lived. So the Emperor. So I'm hearing, so we looked, this is wild. So what am I hearing? Because this reading's taken a little bit of a different shape than the other two. So you've lived a lot of lifetimes, right? Well, that's been established. But I feel like there might have been a really large gap between this lifetime that you're living and the past lifetime that you're living. Because I don't know when this, like I said, I feel like you were underwater, you were a mermaid and all this other stuff. This is more speaking about your origin story. That's what I want to say. This was kind of more your origin story. So this is more specific to your past life is what I'm hearing. That's a little different than the other couple of piles. But in your masculine life, in your last lifetime, you were definitely a masculine, the 9 of Pentacles. And normally this is depicted as a woman, but even in this deck, it's a man. But you had a lot of riches. You worked. That's why I said you worked so hard. Why were you working so hard? We'll have to look into that because as psychic as you were, you really did a lot of, you had a lot of business to take care of. So you were very successful in your past lifetime. I think using all these original energies that you have where your soul kind of originated from. But I just feel like you very easily and quickly learn about past lives. Like, I feel like, you know, you pile 3 are deeply intuitive. And so, yeah, this is probably just really a confirmation for what you already know. But this is looking into that specific lifetime. So the Queen of Wands. The Princess of Pentacles. Can we still see that? Yeah, you have a little bit more cards, but excuse me. The 9 of Cups. And the 10 of Swords. Oof. Okay, in the bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Wands. Okay, so I'm kind of picking into your karmas, pile 3, so this is really interesting. You're like a culmination between pile 1 and 2, which makes sense. Because you started off with that Pisces energy, so you've lived a lot of lives. So you could probably watch all of these readings and you would be able to resonate with each and every one of them because you've lived so many different lives. And again, look at that dolphin in the heart of this. You see that dolphin? That is so nice. And I do feel like you for sure have lived your lives as animals too, because I'm being specifically picked out to animals. So in some of these gaps that you've had, you've lived as an animal. You've been a cheetah. You've lived as a, you know, this is a horse, but I thought it was an elephant. So you've experienced this different lifetimes, but I do think that you prefer to come as like dolphins and anything that lives under sea, you know. All right, so let's get into it. So I feel like in your past life, your general overview is you were pretty solitary. You worked very hard and you worked for yourself. So maybe you're somebody now, excuse me, thank you, Alexa. But you were somebody who definitely worked for yourself and you built your own empire. You started from scraps, you know, and you built yourself up. You have no issue with working. Again, that Capricorn Virgo energy. You work so hard and you reign as queen, as emperor. So even though I'm picking up on this really masculine energy, and you could have been a man, even if you were a feminine, you still carried yourself in this very masculine way. And again, think about how we, you know, I'm not sure, but in your past life, it's specifically, I'm tuning into that kind of underwater life, sorta, because I was like, as soon as I said that, I saw the pinnacle energy. So I feel like you've definitely you've done both. You've lived underwater and you lived above ground, and you make it work for you. No matter where you come from. I just feel like in all of your lives, you've been able to just be abundant. You've been able to build something from scratch. If you started off with nothing, you built it up to something all by yourself. You're very independent. And you used whatever you needed to use, your passions, your desires, in order to create that life for yourself. So maybe that energy still follows you, where you're just like, dang it, I know I need to get what I know I need to get where I got to get going. You know, nothing's going to make, what am I hearing? It's like nothing is going to fall out of the sky for me. I have to make the life that I want for myself, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. And you follow your intuition. Now, the one thing about it in this past life, oh, wow, we have the King and Queen of Wands. It's the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. I didn't even notice that. And the Emperor. So I definitely feel like you were part of a power dynamic, whether you're the masculine or the feminine. And it's so funny. This always happens to my pal threes. It's so funny. But I just feel like there was another part. You definitely had a counterpart with this last connection for your overview. But I do want to say, whatever it is that you built, I don't know why I'm getting this, but whatever it is that you built in your last lifetime, it got taken away from you for some reason. It could have been because your counterpart passed away and you're just like, it ended, or you could have been screwed over, which was kind of talked about in the other readings. So I'm definitely getting just this very strong energy here of like, you worked very hard to build something and then it was kind of taken away from you at the very end. Like you could have ended up just giving away all your money, or you could have ended up getting, you know, I don't necessarily see anything treacherous here, but I just feel like you started with nothing and then you ended with nothing, and it could have been a choice for you. You could have given it all away, but with this Ace of Swords, you come with this fire to kind of